Welcome to talkSPORT USA, talkSPORT's dedicated NFL YouTube channel with myself, Will Varney. Big NFL weekend coming on the network this weekend, including our live commentary of Monday Night Football. Should be an absolute cracker. The Carolina Panthers taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And it's an absolute pleasure to say, helping me look ahead to this game in a bit more detail. Safety for the 49ers, playing some phenomenal ball right now, Mr. Malik Mustapha. Malik, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me.
Really, really appreciate your company. I've been looking forward to this. First off, I wanted to start by looking back at the weekend. Big victory against the Cardinals. How important was that victory? How fun was that to play in? A big win against a divisional rival, cementing that sort of playoff push now at 7-4 on the season.
Yeah, that was an awesome game, especially it being a divisional game as well. It was one of those much-needed wins, especially like us bouncing back after a loss like that. I felt like, we really got after it as a team on all three phases. Sky kicking it off with the big kick return, offense scoring early, defense getting after him. We able to generate 3 turnovers to their 0. So when you play, organized, sounded football like that, you're going to be able to win a lot of games in this league. So just happy for the guys, happy for myself, and I just want to keep this train rolling.
Tell me a little bit about this division right now, because it is so competitive. Many people see it as the toughest, one of the best divisions in football, if not the best. A lot of focus on the Rams, the Seahawks, but right now you guys humming along at a really good level. Just tell me, you're in it right now, this division. Does it feel like the best division in football?
Oh, hands down. We have a lot of, good teams in this division. Rams, great team. Seahawks, great team. Obviously ourselves. And just that competitiveness is, what's going to help us, make that playoff push. So definitely feel like we have the best division in the NFL. And I think, what we put on display this season, along with other teams, have shown that as well.
Look, I love to pick the brains of NFL players, and I want to talk to you about that moment, about 25 seconds left in the second quarter on Sunday, and the ball comes your way and you make that pick. I just want to sort of get that vibe from you, what you saw on that play when you were able to make that big play in a big spot just before halftime. Just walk me through what you saw in that moment and how you were able to do that.
Yeah, so it was a 2-minute situation. We knew that a lot of their concepts were going to be deep developers. And with Jacoby himself, he likes to throw the long ball as well. So we knew we were going to get a shot. So I was just playing the deep post and I was reading him and I was feeling the routes develop. And once he threw it, I just was able to break on the ball and put myself in position to just make the play. And once it came to me, I was able to secure it. My boy Renardo got the
did get leveled.
bad end of that. But next time I'm going to make sure to get up and, try to get some more yardage for sure. But, yeah, just definitely a big moment. Like, whenever it's a third down, red zone, 2-minute kind of situation, it's really important to get those key stops, whether it's a stop or a turnover. It's big for momentum. It's big for field position or et cetera. Big for, negating points. So that was definitely a big moment right before halftime, and just proud of myself just to be in position to make that play.
Absolutely, your first interception of the season, but an interesting start to the season for yourself, which I wanted to touch on. You having to sort of wait these few weeks, coming off the back of that ACL tear. It must have been really frustrating being on the sidelines, sort of watching the team, waiting to get in on the action. Just tell me a little bit about that sort of recovery period that you've had in the offseason, that you had coming into this season, and really how it's helped shape you coming off the back of that injury heading into this season.
Yeah, so this is my second time doing my ACL, so it was definitely different. Just being in the league, and then also the timeline in itself was different for me. Kind of having to just kind of revamp myself, like through doing my own version of camp while the season started. Just trying to get myself back into playing shape, and then once I was able to get back activated, obviously they wanted to be cautious with me and, ran me up correctly. Last time I did my ACL, I was able to have camp and then, go into the season, full speed. So this time it was definitely frustrating at first for me, simply because, I was so anxious and, just really wanted to go out there with my guys and play football again. But I know that it was something that, I want to play football for a very long time. So I have to be careful, especially going through this the second time around. And definitely, even when being back, it almost kind of felt weird in a way because it's like I haven't done it in so long. And I just had to trust the process. I had to trust myself, trust my teammates, trust the staff because they have trust in me. So, once I understand that, I can also have trust in myself. So that was definitely the biggest, hurdle for me. And now that I feel like I'm starting to get back into the swing of things and now I'm able to play sound and, just go out there and just give it my all for my guys.
Well, it's fair to say you're still playing with that level of physicality that we see week in, week out. And look, we saw it on that play with Ronaldo Green getting absolutely hammered when you make that
Yeah.
interception. Look, talk to me a bit about that physicality that you play with. Is that something that's always been ingrained in your play style, or is that something that you've picked up and you've taken from teammates through learning throughout your career? Just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So growing up, I wasn't always the biggest kid. So I guess that was kind of one of the chips on my shoulder. But the physicality still wasn't kind of there. I mean, the heart and everything was there. But I think once I started to grow more into my body, started getting stronger and like things of that nature, and then making the switch to safety because I actually started off playing corner and making that switch to safety, I kind of took on a different approach. And once I took on that new role, it kind of just happened naturally. Like a lot of that stuff was just like fueled by fire, or just determination. And then I was able to express what I was feeling through my play. So a lot of that really isn't based on like what I seen. Like obviously I like to take gems from other people to kind of just develop that into my own game. But in terms of, that drive to kind of want to be physical, that's got to be from within. And it's something that I was able to unlock and something I've made my identity now. So I'm just glad I'm able to showcase at the highest level now in my career.
Well, I feel like that really hits with the mantra of your defensive coordinator, Coach Salah, where it's all gas, no brakes. So tell me a little bit about your DC, because him coming into the building, George Kittle said he was the best off-season signing for the 49ers, him coming back to this team that he knows so well. Tell me a little bit about your DC and the impact that he's having on you so far.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for Coach Salah, just even him helping me when I was not healthy as well. Like when I wasn't taking those, physical reps. He's someone that's been able to teach me the nuances of the game. I feel like a lot of that last year was based on kind of me still just trying to adapt to the new NFL scheme of things. But he's been able to unlock, more pieces to my game as well. It's kind of maybe certain things that I didn't really see, and it's kind of brought a new lens to my approach, or how I view coverages, or how I view concepts, and it's going to actually help us play even more sound football on all three levels. And as you see, like we're a young defense, but we have the keys to do a lot of special things, and he's been able to revamp us and has introduced a way of playing and a style where it's going to help us evolve and hopefully get us to be one of the best young defenses in the NFL. So obviously, we're still learning as we go, but it's going to be something special. And he's a leader among men, and we're able to just hop on ship, and we ride with him all the way through. So I'm definitely grateful for Coach Salah.
You mentioned how this is a young defense and it feels like it's very malleable and there's a lot of talent on it, but there has been that loss of talent with the injuries to Nick, to Fred, to Mikel as well, the season ending. Tell me about the togetherness of this defense then. Has that really brought you guys closer together? Has it made that bond even more special, the fact that you're having to sort of deal with this adversity?
Oh yeah, for sure, because it just reminds us to uphold our standard that in our mission statement, it's a next man up mentality no matter what. Obviously losing the leaders of our defense the way we did, losing a key young guy like Mikel like that in his rookie year, like it's tough, especially going through ACL. Like I'm gonna try to do my best to even just be there for him, because not just a physical, but it's a mental game that you really gotta get through. So with that being said, you never know when it's your last snap, or it's always that mantra of like you gotta you got to be 110% every single play. And with that being said, we got the guys that have the character, the guys that have the grit, the relentless, the tenacity to go out there and get the job done. So it brings us closer together because we know what we're able to achieve. We know what we're able to conquer. And, with the pieces that we have, I can go out to war with any of those guys. We go out, we wake up, we come to the facility with the same goal, the same mission. And when you have guys like that, when you have a string that tight, it's hard to defeat that. So I'm just happy for the team that I have, the brotherhood that we have, and it's going to help us for sure in the long run.
I just wondered as well, you mentioned how you're still finding your feet in the league, and it feels like a lot of players on this defense are as well, being so young. But I know it's a big question, but are there any what's the key lesson maybe that you've learned or you've taken from your first year in the league? Is there a message from a former player or family, something that really sort of has set the tone in terms of helping you develop in your career, like a key learning?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is to really just be a professional, just be a true technician, be a true master of your craft, because that's the things that separate the great players from the average players, I feel like, in this league. And a lot of that, I like to bank on my athleticism, my physicality, my effort. Those are all great traits and what you want in a athlete. But there's another level that even all of us can reach once we take that time to really just hone in on our craft, hone in on the details. Because a lot of that, like, everyone gets paid in this league to do their job. And if we hone in on those factors and do our job at the highest level, you're going to be tough to defeat. Doesn't matter who you are. So I think the biggest thing for me, that yes, you got to do that, but it has to be consistent as well. Say you get 70 snaps in a game, you don't want to be perfect on 65 and not perfect on 5, because those could be the difference in the league. You see how many close games are on the league. Those could be the difference from wins and losses. So just always being on it, like you said, with solid, like, it's an all gas, no brakes mentality. So just training your mind, training your body to be the best version of yourself. And once you do that, the sky's the limit.
You mentioned masters of a craft, and that is certainly applicable to your head coach, Kyle Shanahan, who is an offensive guru. He is somebody who is right now in the Coach of the Year sort of discussions for the job that he's been doing this season. Just tell me a little bit about your head coach and what he is like as a motivator, as a leader, but also the head of this organization, continuing to keep this organization at the very top.
Yeah, Coach Kyle Shanahan, he's the best coach in the league. And, something that with him that I realized when I first got here is that he really teaches you the game within the game, whether we're just, going over certain things in our meetings or whatever. And he's not just coaching the offense, he's also coaching the defense as well. And if you really take the time to listen, he drops a lot of gems, and we're able to apply it with our respective sides. And with Shanahan, he's also a leader among men. We're going to ride for Shanahan, regardless. And he's someone that, with the experience that he has, the resume that he has, you'd be a fool not to listen to him. So I'm also grateful for Coach Shanahan. And, we're going to keep stacking it up for him, because he's laying out the game plan for us, and it's our job to execute. So, like I said, we have the guys from the players to the staff, and as long as Shanahan leading that charge, we're going to be in great shape.
I've got to ask you about a couple of members of that offense that are really playing out their mind right now. One in particular, Christian McCafferey, is just having an incredible year yet again. He's had this checkered injury past, but still, week in, week out, he is delivering on that offensive side of the ball. How much confidence does it fill you with as a defensive player when you're getting to see what he can achieve on the offense, putting up points consistently?
Yeah, it's awesome to see, especially what he's overcome, especially last year. The morale was really down, especially, with him going down, knowing how much of a fighter he is, knowing how much he gives, knowing how much, he cares about this team, puts his body on the line for the guys, and him being able to, get back to himself this year, and him just showcasing why he's the best running back in the NFL. It's great to see. And it makes us play harder as well because it's like, okay, Christian and the offense are going to handle their side. Now defense, we got to handle our side. We got to take the ball away. We got to get stops on defense. We got to get off the field. We got to give offense the ball back so they can go put more points on the board. It's just awesome. It's awesome to see we're witnessing a Hall of Famer before our eyes. And, it just helps us also play at a high level as well.
Tell me a little bit about your quarterback as well. The quarterback who we saw back under center on Sunday, Mac has done a fantastic job filling in for Brock, but Brock coming back in, having a real steady performance, looking so assured. Just tell me a bit about Brock after signing that extension. And I don't know about you, but from a personal aspect, it feels like any quarterback that comes into a Kyle Shanahan system, it feels like people label them as a system quarterback, but Brock has consistently shown he is more than that. Tell me a little bit about your quarterback and how special he is.
Yeah, before I got here, I feel like if you didn't know what Brock was about, you kind of been sleeping under a rock. He's someone like one of the biggest underdog stories I've ever heard of, him coming in and then taking them to the NFC Championship, taking them to the Super Bowl, just making play after play after play. That's someone that came into a situation and took advantage of his opportunity when it presented itself. And you saw the morale of the team, once he, took charge again, and it was just awesome to see him back out there healthy again, making key throws, making touchdowns again. It's awesome. That's one of the leaders of our team, and it's great to see him back out there. So I have the utmost respect for Brock Purdy because he's that key factor on our offense that's gonna help us get to where we want to get to.
Final couple of questions from me, Malik. Really, really appreciate your time. So to Monday night then, big game under the lights. And look, this is, I did a bit of research. I know that you're a North Carolina guy, so there is that sort of, that personal angle for you as well. Tell me how much you're looking forward to this game on Monday night. It's obviously going to be a bit of a tough test. Bryce Young is playing really well at the moment. Tetairoa McMillan, your head coach, has been saying the talent that he has as a rookie. So what challenge do the Panthers pose and how are you guys looking to work that out?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers are a great team right now. They're in position to take over their division. So, they're going to come in here and we're going to get their best. And it's our job to also bring our best as well. They got a great running back. Rico Dowdle is having a great year right now. Bryce Young is starting to make some plays and, playing really, really good ball right now. So our job is to just, do what we got to do to make sure, we don't let them get going early. We got to, start fast. We got to play sound football, going to get the job done. Obviously, from being from Charlotte, I might got a little bit more motivation, but yeah, it's awesome to see for sure. So I'm just ready, and I know the guys are ready. Put on the show Monday Night Football. So go out there and just let it fly, let it loose.
Finally from me then, looking ahead to Monday, but also the 6 games really left in the regular season. It feels like right now this is a team that, despite the injuries, with the current record that you have, feels like there's this air of confidence that you can go up against anybody right now and believe that you can win that game. So to the 49ers fans across the world, what message would you say? What can they expect to see from this team in the final 6 games of the regular season?
I say that we're going to cut it loose. We're going to play the 49ers standard. So, if you want to keep the faithful and, ride with us, you're going to be welcome on this ship. So I know what guys are in that locker room, what we want out of this season, what we're going to do this season, and what we're going to achieve this season. So either get right or get left. I'm confident in my guys, confident in myself. And I can't wait for us to, get to the promised land.
Malik, really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on talkSPORT. Wishing you all the best for Monday Night Football, but as well for the remainder of this season. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.